Our day 5 due now. I gave you 4 questions where you are solving for x using the angles. So let's talk about number 1 first. What did you guys do to set up an equation for number 1? Or what would you even start with when you looked at this? How did you think about solving this? Okay, so first we know that the total of our angles is 90 degrees, right? How did we know that? Say it again. It's a right angle, but what tells you it's a right angle? How do you know? Because of the square in there. Yeah, anytime we see a little square, we know that it is 90 degrees. So I know that these angles together are going to give me 90 degrees total. So I know that I'm going to have something equal to 90. So what did you write for the rest of your equation?
X plus 47.
X plus 47. Good, because I know whenever I add these two together, I'm going to get 90 as my total. So I'll write X plus 47 equals 90. Did everybody get that far at least? And if not, is anybody confused about how we got to this point? Okay, let's keep going. Now I have an equation set up. How am I going to solve for x?
47 on both sides.
Yeah, I want to do the opposite of what's happening here. I'm trying to get x by itself. I've got plus 47. I'm going to minus 47 on both sides. Subtract it. My positive 47 and my negative 47 cancel out. What's my next step?
Start 47 on 90.
Yep, perfect. And what is 90 minus 47?
43.
43. And I've got x equals left to bring down. So your answer should be x equals 43. Did anybody get something different for number 1? Or did we all get that? Okay, awesome. I'm going to take that as you got it right. Number 2. Let's look at number 2. How do we go about setting up this problem? What's going on here? Yeah, we've got 2 angles that when you add them together, it's going to give us 180 degrees. Now, how did you know that this was going to be 180 degrees? Yeah, it's half of the circle, and it's a straight line. Our straight angles, or half of a circle here, that's going to be 180 degrees every time. So I know that when I put them together, I'm going to get 180. And how do I set up the rest of my equation? What should I write?
X plus 59.
Perfect. X plus 59 equals 180. So we're just going to do the exact same thing as we did in number 1. We'll subtract 59 from both sides. My 59s will cancel. I'll bring down my x, my equals, and then what is 180 minus 59? 121. So that should be your answer for x, and we'll circle it. Did anybody get something different than 121 for number 2?
I just miscounted. I got 120.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Close enough.
When we learned this on Halloween.
I think. Yes, I think that's what we did. Halloween. We learned it. Okay. Are we ready for number 3, or do we have questions about 2? Any questions on 2? Okay, awesome. Let's check out number 3. Now, I made a little note for you at the top. I said number 3 and 4 are problems that we haven't done together in class, but I just wanted you to try your best because I honestly think that you guys do have the skills to do these, but we're still going to go over them in a little more detail today. But I want to see, does anybody know what we need to do for number 3? What's happening here?
360.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, what's happening here is we've got a full turn, full 360 degrees. So I know that this little X angle and this giant overextended 316-degree angle, when I add them together, I'll get what? 360 degrees. So how would I set that equation up? What would I write?
X plus 316 equals 360.
Perfect. X plus 316 equals 360. What do I do next?
Minus
Yes, what am I subtracting?
360.
Perfect. Subtract 316 from both sides. And what is 360 minus 316?
44.
Say it again.
44.
44. Perfect. X equals 44. Did you guys all get that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Did anybody not get 44? It's okay if you didn't. Did anybody not know where to start on this one? We all got it? Okay. Impressive. Let's look at number 4. Okay. Number 4. What's happening in number 4 here? Come on, guys, don't be shy.
I think this was to do like 32 plus X plus 27 equals 180.
Yeah. Okay, so Rinson, thank you. That's exactly right. We have a 180-degree angle here. And this angle right here is 32 degrees. And this larger angle is X plus 27 degrees. Now, whenever we are trying to find the total here and we're adding angles together, there is no difference between putting X plus 59 is 180 and putting X plus 27 plus 32 is 180. We're just going to take that and stick it in the equation. So let's write it out. I've got X plus 27 plus 32 equals 180. So we can do that, guys. What should I do next, though? This one's a little different. Yeah, Savannah.
On the positives on the side that the side that the X is on together.
Yeah. So we have 2 numbers that don't have variables on them. These are just normal, constant numbers. So we do have a couple of options. We could either add them together before using inverse operations and subtracting from 180. So I could just do 27 plus 32. And what's that? 59. And then I could rewrite my equation. Or if you didn't feel comfortable with combining, you could subtract 32 from both sides and then subtract 27 from both sides. It's just if you go ahead and combine them first, it'll save you a couple of steps. You won't have to write as much. Okay. Not sure why I drew that line there. I don't need that. So what do I do next? Yeah, subtract. I want to get rid of 59 because I need X to be by itself. So we're going to subtract 59 from both sides. There's my line. And what happens now? I'll bring it down. Got X equals, what's 180 minus 59? 121. I accidentally gave you 2 answers that are the same, but that's all right. Awesome. Okay, that is all the problems for our do now today. Before we talk about what we're going to be moving on to, tell me, does anybody have questions on these 4 questions?
Are we staying on this?
Say it again.
I said, are we staying like on this?
Yes.
I was saying,
Kind
on.
of.
I was like, I'm not even there yet. I'm my head hurts.
Did you watch the lesson that you missed?
No, ma'am, but maybe I should start doing that.
You gotta watch the lesson, girl. Once you watch it, you will feel much better, I promise.
Okay.
Because we went over all of it in good detail, and what we're doing today is this just with an extra little step in it. So if you got today, then the last lesson will make even more sense. Okay. So let's look. I just gave you a little sneak peek. Here's what we're talking about today. So we're going to do a little more practice solving for X with angles, but with slightly more complicated examples. And then we're going to talk about something called a transversal. We're going to talk about corresponding angles. And we're going to talk about vertical angles. So this is the part where you get your notes out and we are going to draw some things together. The new page of notes. I'm gonna keep mine organized. I like title my notes. Call it Geometry Unit 1. And we're almost to the end of Unit 1, guys. We have one or two more things to talk about this week, and we're going to try to have our first quiz on Thursday. I'll make sure that you guys are feeling really prepared for that. We always do like a review day and a practice quiz beforehand. And remember, you'll be able to use all of that on your quiz. So this is day 5, continued. Two of our notes.
Well, it's so quiet, it gets.
I know it. Okay. So once you've got a little note page ready, you're going to want to use a ruler for this part. I'm going to get a ruler out. And I want you guys to draw 2 parallel lines. What does it mean for lines to be parallel? Again, can someone remind me? Yeah, they're going straight, same angle. Will they ever touch?
No.
No, they won't. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw it on this side of the ruler and on the other side of the ruler. That way I know they're going the same way. And then I'm going to show that they're parallel by putting these little markings on the lines like this. Just drawing little extra arrows in there basically. And once you've got your 2 parallel lines drawn, we're going to draw a third line going at an angle that crosses through both of these lines here. Just like this. It doesn't have to look identical to mine, but I'll try to make it a little bit similar at least. Let me grab a couple of my pens. They're coating this. So once we have all of that drawn, let's label all of our angles that we have here. We have a bunch of angles. I'm going to start here, call this angle A, B, I go down, C, D. And then I'm going to go over to the second intersection, E, F, G, and H. So I'll get all those angles named with a letter. Okay. So, first of all, we've got two parallel lines here. This third line that crosses through the two parallel lines is called a transversal. So I'm going to label that transversal. Let's say crosses through parallel lines. So I want us to notice some things about all these angles that we created here. First, let's look at angle A. So angle A is the wider angle on the left side at the top here. And I'm going to mark it with an arc like that. Now, looking at all the angles we have here, are any of these angles the same as A?
B.
C. Yeah, so let's mark that one. A and C have the same measure. The reason they have the same measure is because they are what we call vertical angles. Angles that are across from each other are vertical angles. So I'm going to make down here vertical angles. And we're going to make a little list of them. Angle A and angle C are vertical. Okay. Are there any other vertical angles that are the same as A and C?
E and G.
E and G, yes. So because we have parallel lines, that means they're going at the same angle. If a line is passing through both of them, like this transversal is, the angles that correspond, so A and E and C and G, they're all going to have the same measure. Those are the same angles. E and G are also vertical angles. We'll put that down here. E and G. Okay. Let's keep focusing on vertical angles specifically. What if I start with angle B? Does B have a vertical angle? D. Good. B and D are vertical angles. Angle B and angle D. And how about F? Does it have a vertical angle as well? It does. F and H are vertical angles. Okay. Now, what do we notice about the size of these angles that are vertical to each other? Are they about the same size? Are they bigger? Are they smaller? What are we noticing? They're the same. So vertical angles, or angles that are right across from each other, they are what we call congruent. So I'm going to write that congruent. And congruent is just a fancy word for the same. They're exactly the same measure. They'll have the same degrees. And here's how we write the congruent symbol. You just make an equal sign and you put a little squiggly line above it. That's how you write congruent. So we should have all of our vertical angles labeled. There's one more type of angle that we should look at though. We know now that the angles that are across from each other are congruent. They're the same. These are. But what about what I talked about earlier? I said something called corresponding angles. So if I were to look at the angles that are falling on the same place as the other, for example, angle B and angle F, we would call these angles corresponding angles because this transversal here is creating the same angle with these parallel lines. So we know that F is congruent to B. Those are going to be the same. So maybe we can make a little list of corresponding angles as well. So under here, I'm right, corresponding angles. And let's see, let's start with angle A. Which angle is corresponding with angle A? E. Perfect. Angle A and angle E are in the same position of their little family of angles. Does everybody see that? If you don't, tell me. We can talk about it. Okay, so we've got angle A and angle E. How about angle C? What is its corresponding angle? G. Angle G. They're in the same position in their little family of angles there. So angle C and angle G are corresponding. How about angle B? What is its corresponding angle? F. Perfect. Angle B and angle F. And last but not least, what about angle D? D and H. Perfect. Angle D and angle H. I'm just outline this. So what if, now that we know how these angles are all related to each other, what if I gave you the measurement of one of these angles? What if I told you that angle B is 20 degrees? It might not be exactly 20 degrees, but what if I told you it was? What other angles could we find with that information?
D, H, and F.
Yeah, D, H, and F. So angle D is also 20 degrees because these are vertical angles. Angle F is also 20 degrees because they're corresponding. And angle H is also 20 degrees because it's vertical to F. So we can find a lot of information with just one angle, but could we find more? Yeah, we can. What else can we find?
I think the best is to be a 160.
160? Okay, so how'd you find it that it was 160?
Good one. Good 180 last one.
Yeah, okay, so it sounds like Ritson noted something. I'm gonna use my ruler to cover some things up. Look at what's happening here. I've got 20 degrees for this angle, and I don't know how many degrees are here for A. What kind of angle do those two make when you put them together, A and B? And maybe I cover it with not a clear object.
Obtuse.
Almost. It's a little bit bigger than an obtuse angle. A straight angle. A straight angle is how many degrees? 180 degrees. A straight angle. Anytime you see a straight line straight across, you know that it's always 180 degrees. It's halfway around a full rotation. So we have here whatever A is plus 20 equals 180 degrees. Okay, and we could just solve for A by subtracting 20 from both sides, and Ritson, you're absolutely correct. We would end up getting A is 160 degrees. That's perfect. So if we have the measure of angle A, what else do we have to measure up? Angle C. What else? E and G. So when we have parallel lines and a transversal, you only need one angle, and you can solve the other 7 with doing very little math, as long as we know that our vertical angles are congruent and our corresponding angles are congruent. This information can help us with a lot of different problems. So hold on to this. We're going to have this be kind of a guide later on for when we're solving more. And we're going to talk about one more little thing. Does anybody need this paper still? You want me to wait before moving on? Okay, I'll move it on. Okay, one more angle fact that we need to know. Name the notes. It's right next to me. Okay. Right, we had a problem just like this one in our do now. I'm not going to have you draw this with 100% accuracy, but we're going to start with a point, and I'm going to make a few little angles coming out of this point. So again, it doesn't have to match them perfectly. Put one line here. One line here. One more. We're going to call this very big overextended angle. That's going to be angle A. We'll have angle B. And we'll have angle C. I title this Angles Around a Point. Around a point. Again, your drawing does not have to be exactly like mine, just as long as you've got 3 angles total, one very large one, a medium one, and a small one. So with angles A, B, and C, when they are all 3 put together like this, what are some things that we could say about these angles?
Yeah, they add up to a distance.
Yes, these 3 angles, angle A, B, and C, when we add them together, they make one full rotation. So they make a full 360 degrees. So let's write that statement. I'm going to say angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 360 degrees. Now I'm going to give you some values for these angles. And let's talk about how we would figure out this problem here. So let's say that angle A is 270 degrees. Let's say that angle B is x plus 35 degrees. And then let's say that angle C is 4x degrees. We're doing a tricky one here. So I'm gonna let you guys get that written down. And we're gonna play with this. So if I wanted to solve for x using these 3 angles here, do any of you have an idea about how we could set up an equation to do that? What are we thinking?
I don't know if you can add those two together, like simplify it out.
Uh-huh.
And then add it to 270 and then equal it to 360.
You can. You totally can. So Savannah, I hear what you're thinking. Tell it to me with some confidence. What am I gonna do here? I know you know it.
Like add the 4x to the x, make it 5x plus 35 plus 270 equals 360.
Yes, that is perfect. Okay, so guys, if we have angles and we know what they all add up to, all we need to do is stick the names that we've given these angles into this equation here. So I know A plus B plus C is 360. So let's see what A is. A is 270. So I'm going to replace A with 270. And just plug in stuff in. All right, plus, and what is B? What's it have written in blue next to B?
X plus 35.
Yeah, x plus 35. So I'm literally just going to write that under B. X plus 35. I'm going to bring down that plus next. And what's C? What did I tell you C was?
4x.
4x. We're just replacing the letters with the values we've been given. And we know that's all going to equal 360 degrees. Okay, let's remember back to algebra 1. May have been a bit. Do y'all remember what like terms are? If you don't, that is okay. We can have a mini lesson. I need a yes or a no.
No.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So let's talk about what like terms are. I'm going to zoom in on this so we can see it really well. We're focusing. All right. So whenever I am trying to solve an equation, I want to get all my numbers that go together. I have 270, and then I have an x, and then I have 35, and then I have 4x. Which of these other three things here, I've got x, 35, 4x, which of these can go with 270? 35. These are both numbers that don't have variables attached to them, so we can put them together. So I'm going to start by adding 270 plus 35. What's 270 plus 35?
305.
305. Perfect. What do I have left that can be combined? Yes, I have x and 4x. What's x plus 4x?
5x.
5x. Is anybody, before we move on, please tell me, you will not be shamed for it. Is anyone confused why x plus 4x is 5x? If you are confused, we can talk about it. Does everybody get that? Yes? No?
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to write plus 5x. And then we'll just rewrite the rest of the equation. Equals 360. Okay, this looks a little bit less scary already. A little bit. If it still looks scary, that's okay. We can talk some more. We're going to get us there. So, what we have here is a two-step equation. We need to get x by itself. Now, I've got two different operations happening. Remember, operations are just things you can do to numbers, like adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing. So I have 5 times x. I've got multiplication, and I've got a plus 35. I've got 35 plus 305. I've got addition here. When I am solving an equation, remember we are working backwards to find our x. So we're doing our order of operations backwards too. Am I going to try to mess with the 5x first or the 305 first? You know?
35.
Yeah, the 305. We don't want to separate 5 from x until we get rid of everything else. So let's subtract 305 first from both sides. What's happening here? What do I do? Say it again?
Just bring the 5. Wait. Yeah, you bring the 5x down.
Yeah, perfect. So my 305's cancel. I'll bring 5x down equals, and then 360 minus 305. That should give us 55. So now we're left with 5 times x equals 55. So what's our next step here? Divide by 5. Good. And what is that going to give us? X equals 11. That's your answer. X is 11. It's a long process, but y'all can do it. I believe in you. We're going to do some more practice today. Don't you worry. And guys, really, I don't want you to be nervous to tell me if you don't get something. Tell me. I want you to understand, I'm never gonna be upset with you. Tell me if you're lost, or if you're not, that's great too. Before we move on, any questions? Okay. So here's what we're gonna do now. I have a worksheet that I made last night. And we're gonna do some problems together from it. Now, if you're feeling confident and just wanna work ahead, go for it. But I would like us to do a few together just in case. Here is this. Here you go. We're just doing some more practice solving for X here. Here you go. Here again, Alex. Okay. So let's look at number 1 together. What do we have going on in number 1?
360.
Yes, we've got 360 degrees happening here all together. So I know that whatever I add or subtract together, it's going to equal 360 degrees. And what should the other side of my equation say?
X plus 27.
Perfect. X plus 27 equals 360. So now we just need to solve for X, and I'm sure you guys know how to do that by now. Subtract 27 from both sides. And what's your X going to be?
333.
Perfect. X is 333. Wonderful. Any questions about number 1?
No.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's look at number 2. What's happening in number 2?
Equals 1.
Yes, we've got 2 angles that equal 180 when they're added together. We got a straight angle here. So I'm going to go ahead and put equals 180. And what am I adding together to get 180?
You're gonna do. Isn't that X plus 12?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Good job. So we got X plus 12. What else?
Plus 145.
Yeah, plus 145. We're just adding it all together. And do I have any like terms that I can combine first?
12 and 145.
Yeah, 12 and 145. Absolutely. So what's going to happen when I add those together? Let's see. I think it's going to be 157 if my mental math is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So X plus 157 equals 180. Y'all got it from here. Minus 157. Minus 157. What's X going to equal?
23.
23. Did everybody get 23? Did I hear somebody say no? Okay, good, good, good. X equals 23. Perfect. Okay. Number 3. What kind of angles do we have here? Yes, we do have 2 parallel lines. You can see that because of these little arrows that are drawn on the lines. And then this line that is going through those parallel lines, this is a transversal. We just learned about that. What kind of angles are these? Bye, Nautica.
Bye.
They are congruent. They are the same. Do you guys remember what the specific name for them is, though? It's either vertical or corresponding.
No,
Corresponding. Yes, so remember vertical angles are right across from each other, kind of like in number 5. corresponding angles are in the same position in your little groups of angles here with your parallel line. So we've got some corresponding angles. And since they're congruent, that means they're equal to each other. So how would we set up this equation?
X plus 59 equals 180. Or
We could do that. We could start here and figure out what this angle is plus 59 to make 180. Bless you.
Thank you.
But that might be a couple of extra steps we won't need. There is an easier way to do it. These angles are equal to each other. How do you think we would set this up if they're equal?
we got a equation and equal it to 59.
Yeah, that's it. It's as simple as that. Sometimes the answer is easier than you think. 5x plus 4, this angle is equal to 59 because they are congruent. These angles are the same. So to solve for x, we just need to write 5x plus 4 equals 59. And then we're going to solve for x. Does that make sense why we can set those equal to each other?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what do I do first to solve this?
-4.
Yes, ma'am, -4. Good. And 59 minus 4 is 55. So what do I do from here?
Divide by
I'm even, right?
Yes, we're going to divide by 5 on both sides. And we're going to get x equals what?
11.
11. Very good, guys. Okay, any questions on number 3 at all? Good. Okay, so number 4, I'm going to have you guys do this one. And this is going to be your exit ticket. So label this number 4. I want you to write day 5 exit ticket. Make sure your name is written on this page. And I want you to try number 4 as your exit ticket. Now this one is a little tricky. We can talk about it. If anybody has questions about it, I'm happy to answer them. Does anybody feel stuck on how they are going to set their equation up for this, or do you feel like you guys are good on this one?
Right, yeah.
You feel half and half?
Yeah, I'm confused, but I still want to try first.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to leave this up here. I'm going to let you guys, I want you guys to be able to tell me when you need help. I am right here. Say my name or yell at me or raise your hand or something. I promise you guys, I'm never going to be frustrated with a question. I would love to come and help, but you guys see if you can figure it out first. I think you can. And I am here if you need me. I'm going to end that video.
Is it